Hi there, in this video I'm going to give you an in-depth guide on how to play the Berserker perk. The Berserker specializes in close combat, able to take on any Zed that challenges him. Using only melee weapons, the Berserker can clear trash Zeds with ease and keep the bigger Zeds at bay by blocking a majority of their attacks. Combining high survivability, good amount of damage output, and amazing mobility, the Berserker is one of the strongest perks in the game in the hands of an experienced player. My name is Arseniy and you're watching Killing for Tactics. As the Berserker, you're constantly in the face of the Zeds. There's never a dull moment when you're not fighting, and if you do take too much of a beating, you can always back out, or if you have vampires, stay in the fight. You can heal up and then get back in there. He's a very well-rounded class, and if you're capable of it, you can carry your team even through the toughest of situations. Like in my other guide videos, I'm going to cover a few areas, mainly the skills you should take, how you should be spending your money and what loadouts are good, how to deal with some of the difficult Zeds like the Skrakes and Flashpounds, and pretty much give you some general game tips so you can be the best Berserker you can be. Alright, and on that note, let's get right into it. First skill we've got, or first two skills we've got, are Dreadnought and Skirmisher. Dreadnought is pretty good as it makes you much more tankier, it gives you 175 health, and pretty much makes you unkillable, I've noticed. Skirmisher is also a really good perk. It's got movement speed and health regeneration. Movement speed alone is a big reason why you want to take this perk, but the passive health regeneration is also good as well. So you're probably wondering, which one should I take? Well, both of these are good in their own scenarios. Dreadnought is good for when you want to tank for your team and you pretty much want to be a wall in between the Zeds and your teammates. Skirmisher pretty much makes you a battle Berserker. Having that movement speed allows you to move around very quickly, and that passive health regeneration allows you to stay in battle much longer. Personally, I suggest taking Skirmisher. It's more useful on Hell on Earth where you need that movement speed, and when you're starting out, I suggest taking Skirmisher as well, because if you start off with Dreadnought, then you're going to be used to having 175 health all the time. If you then switch to Skirmisher, you're going to be like, wow, I have 100 health, this is much harder, because yeah, you have less health, you can get hit less. So that's that. I suggest taking Skirmisher, and once you're used to it, then you can switch off to Dreadnought and play around with it, see how you like it. Next skill we've got is Vampire and Butcher. Butcher seems like the skill you should be taking because of the damage, and that's what I first picked as well. I wanted that damage, but after trying out Vampire, I can see that for me personally, Vampire is a much better skill. It will pretty much allow you to stay in battle indefinitely as long as you're killing stuff, as you're not losing any health. This has gotten me out of some tough situations where you're surrounded and you think you're gonna die, where if you had Butcher you would die, but Vampire allows you to kill all those Zeds around you, get your health back. You go from like 50 to 90 in like 4 seconds, and it's just amazing in my opinion. Butcher is a good skill because of the damage obviously, but if you are going for more survivability and staying in fights longer without having to back out, I suggest taking Vampire. The only time I advise against Vampire is on the boss wave. That's when you want to switch to Butcher, if you really care. For our next skills, we've got Resistance and Parry. I think that Parry is a much better skill as it allows you to get that bonus and then you can deal more damage and stay invulnerable pretty much. Combining the bonus from Parry and the regen you get from Vampire, you can stay in a fight for a very long time. And since on the higher difficulties you are going to be blocking more, you will be getting that bonus much more often, so I think it's better than the static resistance or the static buffs that resistance gives you. I mean, resistance isn't bad, and if you're not going to parry ever, then yeah, take resistance, but parry is a much more useful skill in more situations. You're probably worried about this, like you're a new player and you see parry and you're like, wow, this is a mechanic I've never tried. And it's pretty difficult to do, you gotta time it right, but the suggestion I gotta give to you is do it right before you get hit. Like when you think you're about to get hit, just do it then, and that's the perfect timing for it. That's my best way to explain it. But there's also a little cheat I can give you. I'm not sure if this is an exploit and they've not seen it yet, or if they're not gonna remove it at all and it's supposed to be in the game, but what you can do is you can hold reload, which is R for me, and then you can tap your block button. Doing this will allow you to pretty much spam your parry and get those parries off easily. So while you're new, this trick will help you a bunch to pretty much get that parry bonus off for free, and after you play the Berserker more and get better at parrying, personally I found that I have to use this exploit less and less, so yeah, I guess just use it while it's still in the game. Next skill we've got is Smash and Massacre. Personally, Smash is the way to go. This is the skill you want to have for a majority of the game because it allows you to take down the heavy zeds and the medium zeds much faster. Your heavy attacks are going to be dealing a lot of damage and pretty much killing a lot of the stuff, well, the medium zeds at least, in one hit, and helping take down the bigger zeds much faster. That being said, I don't think Massacre is a bad skill. I think it's good in some situations, mainly in the first few waves. The reason you don't want to use it later on is because that's when the stronger zeds are coming, and you're pretty much not going to be using your lighter attacks against the stronger zeds. That's the logic. So if you are going to take Massacre, I'd say take it before you got your tier 4 weapon. And if you're getting the katana, pair that up with Massacre, you'll be an absolute killing machine. Well, you'll be a killing machine for the first couple of waves until the Scrakes and Flesh Pounds come. Then you might have a harder time. So all in all, take Smash for a majority of the game, and Massacre is better on the early waves. If you don't want to deal with it and having to switch them all the time, then just take Smash for the entire game. But if you don't mind it, then I do suggest taking Massacre until you've gotten your tier 4 weapon, and then switch into Smash after. And for our final skill, the one everybody wants, the one that's cool, the one that's flashy, we've got on one side Spartan, and on the other side Berserker Rage. This is a fairly easy choice. You always want to take Spartan because it allows you to clear out areas quickly of Zeds and just deal more damage in general. Berserker Rage is okay, but I feel like they need to add something more to it, because when you're using it and Zed time slows down, sure you get the 25 health, but I mean, you've already got medics and vampires healing you and skirmishers, so that's not that necessary, and the Zeds are running away from you, and you're slow too, so you have to run after them if you want to kill them, so that's no use. So just take Spartan. I mean, it's much more fun, you're going to be dealing a lot more damage, there's good mobility, it's good in every situation. I can tell you that once you've tried Spartan, it'll be pretty hard switching to Berserker Rage. That pretty much covers all the skills. Now let's talk a little bit about the weapons and the loadouts the Berserkers got. I'm going to try and skim through all the weapons and not spend too much time talking about them in depth because they are all kind of similar. They all have a similar playstyle, so let's get right into it. The starting weapon we've got of the Berserker is the Crovel, and this is a really good starting weapon. It's got good damage and a good attack speed, especially if you pair this with Massacre. You should breeze through the first 3 to 4 waves quite easily. This weapon's great for killing trash and all of that stuff, but starts to struggle when you introduce medium Zeds and the harder Zeds. Next up we've got the Katana, which in my opinion is the best trash killing weapon the Berserkers got. When you pair this with Massacre and Vampire, you pretty much become a killing machine that is unstoppable and you're constantly healing, killing all of the weak Zeds. The Katana is the best weapon for trash clearing the Berserkers got, but it starts to struggle a lot when you're versing the Scrakes and Flesh Pounds as it doesn't do much damage against them. Next weapon we've got is the Vlad Nailgun, and my bottom line for this is just don't use it. It doesn't deal enough damage, and if it does, it's only killing the weaker Zeds, not the stronger Zeds. The single fire mode is hard to land. The shotgun mode, you have to reload it a lot, and the Berserker's reload speed sucks, so just don't use it. I don't think this weapon belongs in this class, and I've never seen anyone use it, and the situations that this weapon is useful in don't come often. Next up we've got the Zweihander, which is a pretty awesome weapon. You're going to feel cool while you're using it, but that doesn't really translate into usefulness. Personally, I feel like this weapon is alright at everything. It's worse than the Katana killing trash Zeds, and it's worse than the tier 4 weapons at killing the stronger Zeds, so it's kind of like in the middle. It doesn't do anything great. It's fun to use and you feel cool while doing it, but that's pretty much all it's good for, as it's mediocre at everything, so I don't suggest taking this on into the later game. Next up we've got the Pulverizer, which is actually a really good tier 3 weapon. It's got good damage on the light attacks, it's got good damage on the heavy attacks because of the explosive, and it's fairly good at dealing with the stronger Zeds. Sure, it's not as good as the tier 4 weapons, but I mean, it can stand its ground on the tier 3 level, and if you do want to use it, then it's there. The only downsides about this weapon are that sometimes the light attacks don't kill your enemy, so you think they're dead but they're actually just on the ground stunned, and then they get back up and start fighting you again, which is pretty annoying. And another one is when you're using the explosive attack in the Z time mode, the reset time for your character is really long, so you can't spam it, I'm guessing, so you have to get used to that. Next up we've got our tier 4 weapons, first one being the Bone Crusher, and this is a really good weapon. Its light attack is fast and deadly, and the heavy attack paired with Smash does quite a lot of damage to the stronger Zeds. It's also got a shield bash which blows up the weaker zeds, and the zeds that don't die from it get staggered like the Scrake and the Flash Pound, which is really useful. As of right now, the block on the Bone Crusher seems kind of OP. I'm not sure if they're going to change it or if they're just going to leave it like this, but if they don't change it, this is really strong. All you gotta do is pull up your shield, and as long as you have a medic healing you, you can pretty much block indefinitely. So as you can see in the video, I'm just constantly blocking Flesh Pound attacks, and not just from one Flesh Pound, from like 2 Flesh Pounds. You can just stand there and there's a little window in the shield that you can look through, and you can see some of the battle, I guess, but the block on this thing is kind of insane. And for our final tier 4 weapon, we've got the Eviscerator, which excels at killing the stronger zeds. The long-ranged heavy attack that sends out a blade flying can take out the Scrake and Flesh Pounds very quickly, and the chainsaw attack can dismantle the weaker zeds pretty fast as well. The only bad thing about this weapon is it's got fuel and ammo, so it's mainly meant for taking down the stronger zeds. If you want something with you to take out the weaker zeds as well, then you're gonna have to carry a katana, because you're gonna run out of fuel if you just use the chainsaw attack. Personally for me, I don't really like using the Eviscerator that much because, I don't know, I just feel slow and clumsy with it. I know the weapon weighs a lot and that's how it should be, but all of the attacks with it are kinda slow, blocking with it is slow. If you want to switch to the katana, that takes time too. So, I don't know, it's not really the weapon for me. I know it does a lot of damage and it's got utility, it's got range, so that's good, but I feel like the blocking especially is too slow for my liking. The Berserker grenade is actually really good because what it does is it disables zeds for a couple of seconds, so for the weaker zeds they're gonna get stunned. For the medium zeds it's gonna disable their special abilities. For example, the Siren can't use her Scream, the Husk can't use his Fireball Launcher, stuff like that. And you can also use it to disable his Scrake's Rage for a couple of seconds, which isn't that useful. I never really use it on the Scrakes, it's more for the Husks and the Sirens. And you can use it for Flesh Pounds, but I don't think it does much. So for the loadouts, I think this is the more important part of this segment. You've got 2 loadouts, 2 possible loadouts. You've got the Eviscerator one and you've got the Bone Crusher one. So the classic Eviscerator loadout consists of the Eviscerator, obviously, a katana, and a medic pistol. So I'd say get the katana and the medic pistol somewhere around wave 2 to 3. Donate the rest of your money for the later waves, and then sometime around wave 5 to 6 is when you want to get your Eviscerator and start dealing with the Scrakes and the Flesh Pounds. This is a pretty good loadout as you got the katana to deal with the weaker and medium zeds, and when you see the stronger zeds coming in like the Scrakes and Flesh Pounds is when you switch to the Eviscerator and use that instead. You've also got a medic pistol on you, so if you see your team struggling a little bit, then you can use that and help the medic out. Since unlike the Eviscerator, the Bone Crusher can deal with the stronger zeds and the weaker zeds all in one weapon, then you're more fluid about your build. So with the Bone Crusher loadout, it's really up to you what you want to take, but usually what I do is I use the Crovel for around 4 waves, still donating money to the medic, and then around the 5th wave or so, that's when you get the Bone Crusher. And then after a while using the Bone Crusher, you can really make your build. So for example, you can grab a Magnum for the stronger zeds, or grab a Deagle, or grab a medic weapon. That's what I usually do, is have a medic weapon on the side with the Bone Crusher. So ultimately it's up to you, play around with it, see what sidearms you like to the Bone Crusher, since you do have that 6 weight slot there. And with the grenades, what I usually do is have 3 on me at all times, and then later on when you can just have a lot of money, then you fill them up. That pretty much covers all the weapons and loadouts the Berserkers got. Now let's talk a little bit about the Zeds that you're going to be facing on the battlefield. For a Zed we've got that's kind of difficult for the Berserker is the Blow. I found that the Blow is fairly easy to take out if he's alone, but if he's surrounded by other Zeds, then he can be quite a pain. The best ways of taking him out are, if you have Massacre, what you gotta do is run up to him and then pretty much spam your light attack at his head. He's gonna be too busy blocking and then he's not gonna attack back, and you can slice his head clean off. And it's fairly easy to do if you have Smash. Simply do 1 or 2 heavy attacks on his head and it should pop off. Honestly, most of the time I tell you to just ignore the Blow entirely and let the sharpshooters or the commandos take care of him, because the Berserker does have quite a hard time and the Blow is usually never alone, so just deal with the weaker Zeds and let the other classes kill the bloats for you. Next Zed of difficulty we've got is the Siren, and she's fairly easy to take out for the Berserker. All you gotta do is land 1 or 2 headshots on her head with a heavy attack and she should be down. The only danger a siren can pose to you is if she's not alone. Say there's 2 or 3 of them, then you gotta be careful. What I suggest doing is either throwing a grenade in there, disabling them, and then taking them all out quickly, or waiting until a teammate takes out one of them, then you can go in and clean up. Because if you go in while they're all up, you're just gonna get melted very quickly. And I think the most difficult of the medium Zeds for the Berserker to deal with is the Husk. With the Husk, what you've got to do is you got to find a perfect time to attack. So what I like to do is when he's raising his arm to shoot the fireball launcher at you, that's when you run in and you hit him. Most of the time this works as he's still got to finish that attack animation, and then while he's recovering you have a lot of time to kill him. But if you don't kill him in that time period and he does start using his flamethrower attack, the one where he sprays everywhere, then you gotta run away. If you stay in the flamethrower attack, you will die very quickly, so just get out of there and try again. Just like with the sirens, except I think more dangerous in this case, is you gotta be careful for when they're in groups. If there is 2 husks there, your best bet is throwing in a grenade and taking both of them out fast, but if there's 3 husks, I'd suggest backing up and letting your teammates take one of them out. Because most of the time you're not gonna have the time to take out all 3 of them, and just like with the sirens, you're gonna get melted. And really quick, I will throw in a part about the Gorfian in here as well, because he is the new medium Zed. Pretty much the only thing to look out for is when he does his spinny bullshit, that's when you gotta leave, just run out of there, because just like all the other Zeds, if you stay in that, you're gonna get melted. You can get a quick parry bonus off of it, but unless you have the Bone Crusher, you're not gonna be able to block all of his attacks. So the strat is to parry, back up, and then just try again. In general, for all of these medium Zeds, remember to use your EMP grenades. That's going to be a big lifesaver when you throw it in, and it gives you a short period of time where their special attacks are disabled, whether it be the Siren or the Husk, and that gives you just enough time to kill them. That pretty much covers all the medium Zeds. Now let's talk a little bit about the Scrake and the Fleshpound. With both of these, it's fairly hard to take them out unless you're using the Eviscerator. So for the Scrake, I think it's 2 to 3 headshots with the long range attack. And for the Fleshpound, I think it's 4 to 5. But if you're not using the Eviscerator, then your job for the bigger Zeds is to simply distract them. What I mean by that is you gotta get their attention while another class can kill them. This is pretty easy to do as the Fleshpounds attack the first thing in their path, so what you gotta do is go in between your teammate and the Fleshpound, making pretty much a wall, and then just parry or block their attack. For the Scrakes, it's a little bit harder to do because the Scrakes actually go after who damaged them, so you pretty much gotta get their attention by attacking them. As long as you're damaging the Scrake, he's gonna keep going after you, so you damage and block, leaving your sharpshooter or demo safe in the back. And yeah, that's pretty much my advice on dealing with the Scrakes and Fleshpounds. Unless you're using the Eviscerator, your best bet is just to distract them and let the classes with more damage deal with them. And for the boss, the only strategy that I can give you is, first of all, use the Eviscerator loadout, so Eviscerator, Katana, Medic Pistol, and take off Vampire, replace it with Butcher. The playstyle you gotta have for the boss is pretty much when you're running away or when he's shooting you, that's when you can use the range attack of the Eviscerator, and when he's focused on a teammate, that's when you can go up behind him and use the chainsaw attack. Also, always remember to block and parry and try and get that bonus off, and if you see a teammate is getting focused by the boss, then use your Medic Pistol and heal them up. That pretty much covers all of the Zeds and how to deal with them, and I don't want to make this video too long, but I will give you some basic tips on how to play the Berserker and how to have a generally good playstyle. One of the biggest tips that I can give you as the Berserker is always be aware of your surroundings, so know where your teammates are, know where the Zeds can come from, and know where you can get attacked from, because one of the worst things is when you don't know what's going on around you and you get cornered or you get surrounded, because a surrounded Berserker will die pretty quickly. And also know your role, know which spot you're supposed to fill on the team and what your tasks are. For me, what I try to do is kill a majority of the trash Zeds to make sure that the team doesn't get overrun, and then protect the team from the bigger Zeds. That second one is a pretty big thing. You want to make sure that you're stepping in between the Fleshpounds and the Scrakes and protecting your squishies like the sharpshooter demo, stuff like that, from getting demolished by the Fleshpounds. And I know that sounds difficult to pretty much take the hit for your teammate to be the one getting damaged, but what I've noticed is the higher level you are with the Berserker, the more damage you can endure. So don't give up at the early levels. When I first started playing Berserker and I've gone even to like level 10, I was like, this class feels kinda weak, you know, I'm constantly dying, I'm not dealing that much damage. But the higher level you get, the more experience you get with the perk, the more you'll be able to put yourself into tougher situations, like being a wall for your squishier classes. Yeah, so that's a big thing. You will have a lot of difficulty on the lower levels, but the more experience you get, the higher level you become, that's when the Berserker really starts to shine. And for some other quick tips is, I suggest against buying armor on every wave unless you're just rolling in money, because it really doesn't do that much on the Berserker as it does on the other classes, because you are going to be losing it pretty quickly into the wave and it's not worth the money that you're putting into it. And another thing is, if you are going to camp in a doorway or a hallway, stuff like that, then I do suggest you crouch down and let your teammates shoot above your head, because it doesn't limit you in any way, it actually helps you out, because if there is a Zed that you might have difficulties with, like the Husk or the Bloat, then the teammates behind you, like the Commando or Sharpshooter, they can help you out by shooting it, and it just works out better for everyone. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. Just defend your team, make sure you give your team a lot of money early on, especially the medic, so he gets an assault rifle and can heal you guys. And just don't separate too much, because you do get experience for killing clots near your teammates, so that's good for you. I think that pretty much covers everything, and I've prepared a little highlight to show you what the Berserker is really capable of once you reach level 25. But before that, I'd like to remind you that if you liked the video, or if you enjoyed the video, then like it. If you've got any questions, if I left anything out of the video, then feel free to ask in the comments. I'll try and respond and give you some tips. And if you want to follow me for future content, then either follow me on Twitter or just simply subscribe to the channel. I hope you enjoy the highlight and have a great day.
Everybody fucking shit.